Hi, Christina Lee.
Rebecca.
Nice to meet you. Would you prefer to go by Miss Gwaltney or Rebecca or?
Rebecca works.
Okay, perfect. How are you doing today?
I'm fine.
Good. Well, we are social worker today. As you saw on our confidentiality agreement, this is confidential, except for to my supervisor who will be watching this video for the class purpose. And also, I must report anything that goes on if you are at harm to yourself or others.
Okay.
But other than that, this will be a confidential meeting.
Alright, sounds good.
So, what's going on?
I'm nothing much. There's a lot of stress coming from everywhere, nothing much. So I guess the thing I wanted to talk about was trying to coexist with my big sister. Right now,
Okay.
that's a big, it's delicate. It's very
Delicate.
hard, and on top of everything else, it's just, I feel too burned out to keep it up this whole time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, how old is your older sister?
She's 30.
30? Okay. Do you have any other siblings?
I have 3 other siblings.
Okay. How old are they?
Well, I have a hard time remembering all their ages.
Okay.
I
That's
think
okay.
it's 27, 25, and 19.
Okay. So you're like in the middle. Ish. And how old are you?
I'll be 23 soon.
23. Okay. Just wanted to make sure I had the right age. All right. Well, so your older sister, do you have any brothers? Do you have other sisters?
I have another sister and a brother, and I'm gonna pass on that other one.
Okay.
That stuff we don't need.
Okay, that's fine. I totally understand. So what's going on with your big sister?
Well, she's a handful to live with sometimes. She has, a lot of it is not her fault. She
Okay.
has a lot of health issues, different than mine, but it requires an incredibly clean kitchen. It requires like no scents and no candles, and it requires, you know, just all of this stuff. But then there's things like she likes to sleep through most of the day and wake up halfway through the afternoon and stay up all night, which doesn't really work when you're living with other people with normal
Yes.
schedules. And she doesn't like my dog. And she's not an animal person, and she's grating to
Okay.
talk to.
Gotcha. So who all lives in the home?
Just myself,
You can go by ages if you would.
yeah, my oldest sister,
Okay.
and my parents.
Okay, so your 30-year-old sister, and your parents.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what about the other 3?
Well, the one that I passed over, I mentioned it, and then my brother lives in an apartment nearby, and my sister is in college in Asheville.
Okay.
And she comes back for summers and winter breaks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I understand that. That makes sense. So has your oldest sister always lived in the home? Has she ever moved out?
No, she moved out for part of college, and then she moved back in for part of college, and then she got a fiance who moved in with us, and then they moved out after they got married, and then they divorced and she came back.
Okay, so she's just in
Then
now.
she moved into a different apartment, and now she's back again. So
Okay.
it's been a nice flip-flopping. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting to deal with. So have you always lived in the home?
Yes.
You haven't moved
I have.
because of any school related?
Yeah, I mean, I go to college locally, and it costs a lot of extra money to either live on campus or you know, find an apartment, and it's
Mhm.
just made the most sense for me to stay home.
Okay,
It has been difficult though.
I'm sure. So where do you go to school?
Meredith College.
Meredith College. Okay, and what year are you?
I'm a senior.
Okay. So how is school interrelated with you dealing with everything at home?
Well, in a few ways, it is. It's, I have to get up early, and my sister wandering about the house until 5 or 6 in the morning
Mhm.
every night often wakes me up, and so that interferes with how rested I am for classes. And then there's, she expects the house to be quiet until midway through the afternoon, so on days when I'm home,
Mhm.
I have to be really careful about how I get work done and where I get work done, or else it'll wake her up. So there's a lot of that specifically, with school.
Mhm. Okay, so, but is school itself going okay for you, or how is?
I mean, it's generally very, very stressful, but
Yeah.
right now I have a handle on it.
Okay, just want to make sure on that one. So, have you and your sister had a conversation about what's going on?
We've had many conversations and many fights,
Mhm.
and it's very difficult to resolve anything.
What do your parents say?
Um, it's, well, my dad doesn't like to get into it, doesn't like to get in between people, when we're having fights. He lets me vent to him, but he doesn't
Yeah.
get into it. My mom is less, impartial, and it's kind of like she's against us both.
Okay.
That's what it feels like, at least. I feel like when she talks to my sister, it's like, you can't do this, and these are problems. And then when she talks to me, it's like, you can't be this hard on Hannah. She's dealing with all this stuff, and she can't help it. And so nothing really gets resolved.
Okay, gotcha. So, was your life better? Not, I guess, better when your sister was not living in the home?
It was less complicated.
Less complicated?
One of the big things about my sister being in the home, and especially with her sleep schedule, but with the fact that she doesn't like dogs, is that my dog is very, very important to me, and is actually pretty much an emotional support animal for my various issues. I'm not only having to change my schedule, but his schedule
Mhm.
in relation to her. So he doesn't get to be outside very much actually during the day, which he deserves to be able to go outside when there's sun's out,
Mhm.
because she doesn't like that he sometimes barks where he makes the neighbor's dogs bark. And that's another thing. It's not even him barking, it's the neighbor's dogs barking, but she expects me to bring my dog inside and sort of punish him for this.
Yeah.
And so I forget your original question, but it's
Just how was life with and without your sister?
so much more complex with her. I like hanging out with her some, and I like talking with her some, but we've never been especially close my entire life. And
Mhm.
in a lot of ways, I just wish she could live on her own. I think she does too. We don't. Our lifestyles don't mesh well.
Yeah, and I mean, in a natural form, the sister would at this point be on her own, but since there are issues and health issues, that makes sense as to why she's been back and
Mhm.
forth. Has she considered leaving the home anytime soon?
No, that's not it. That's not even an option.
Not an option, okay. So, does she work?
No,
No? Okay.
which is one of the reasons she can keep her current schedule.
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, she works because of the health issues. She does not work, because of the health issues.
She also has severe anxiety issues,
Okay.
so that's the biggest thing she's working through. And she is in treatment, so I don't feel like she's doing nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It just often feels like she is not doing enough.
Okay. That makes sense. Well, is there anything that you want to say to her that you have not said to her, but that has not led to that you want to say, but will not lead you to a fight, or does everything kind of lead into an argument?
I don't even know anymore how not to get into a fight
Yeah.
with her when approaching sensitive subjects. I feel like I have to be too lenient and back off too much so that I'm not satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
When I want to tell her that she's being self-destructive, And her sleep schedule's, not only making it harder for us, but it's making her health worse. It's making her future return to the workforce or to any sort of real life in the real world pretty much impossible, because the world doesn't really accommodate people who sleep all day.
Yeah.
And it's just frustrating.
Sorry, I keep going back to the sleep thing. Does she choose to sleep like this?
Yes.
Or it's because of her medical
She
issues?
chooses.
She
to sleep.
chooses to.
But I think some people in our family would argue that a lot of it is anxiety,
Mhm.
that she can't sleep at night. But I think a lot of it is also she actually chooses this because she has, video game stuff that she does all night, like with specific people that are on
Mhm.
all night, and like she plans events for things in the middle of the night, like on video games,
Mhm.
and she resists sleeping at normal times, citing those things. So it's like she's got the choice between, sleep and be healthier and be more functional, or be able to do these things that I do at night, and she's always
Choosing the latter.
choosing the latter. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That does sound pretty tough.
Mm-hmm.
Does the noise keep you awake at night?
Sometimes, she wears headphones for her video games, but she
Okay.
refuses to walk around the house without shoes, and her bedroom is directly above mine.
Oh wow.
So,
Well, is there any kind of way that you guys could switch rooms?
no,
or
we can't switch rooms. I can't be in that room upstairs for several reasons. One being the dog. He isn't used, like, the room I'm in right now is like his den. And
Yes.
it would be weird for him to settle. Plus, Hannah doesn't like the dog, so if she moved into his den, he would just
He would come in there
constantly.
constantly.
Yeah. And she wouldn't move down there, because she used to share that room with her ex-husband.
Oh, okay.
And also bugs get into that room, so she wouldn't be able to handle it, and so switching rooms is not an
Switching
option.
rooms
I
is-
don't want that room upstairs. She didn't want that room upstairs.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. That's not an option then. So, have your parents?
Plus, I'd wake her up for the other reason, like she.
Oh, it would be
switched
the total
rooms, that she'd be
opposite.
woken up by me at the normal waking up
Yes.
time, and then she'd complain.
So, what are your parents' thoughts on this? Besides, your dad's neutral, obviously. Your mom is kind of back and forth with y'all. But do they have their own blanket opinion of the whole situation? Do you know of?
I think the most concrete thing I've heard either of them say was that they've assured my sister that, eventually this can't continue. Like,
Mhm.
there will come a time when we're no longer gonna be able to accommodate this sleep schedule.
Okay.
But I feel like that's just words,
Oh,
because
yeah.
they've said that to several of my siblings about several things. They bought one of my siblings like 6 cars because he kept totaling them, and they don't really know when enough is enough.
Okay. So there's an issue there, obviously, too. So do you have any feelings towards your parents because of the whole situation? Like resentment?
Yeah, I mean, and yes, I often resent that they seem to take my sister's side more than mine. And I mean, I know it's because they think that, she's more fragile than me and I'm more capable of taking on bigger emotional burdens and giving better accommodations, but I'm getting more and more resentful that they won't.
Accommodate you?
Yeah,
just
it
as
feels like they won't
much.
treat us as equals.
Okay. Well, maybe even though you don't like that, they do see you as the stronger individual, which is, in a way, a compliment to your personality and to yourself. So, I mean, although you may not enjoy being the stronger more capable to then, I think that may be why you're here today, is to talk about those issues. And what do you think can happen? And like, would you like to write a letter, or is there anything you want to do to like share this emotion with them?
I don't think I feel like, at least at this point, I don't feel like another confrontation is gonna help.
Okay.
There's been a lot of communication, it's just because we're a bit bad communication. Writing a letter is often seen as passive aggressive in my family.
Oh, okay. So the letter is not an option.
Um,
Well, before we even get into that, I should back up. Why don't we continue to talk about these issues? And I have a few exercises we can do in here that would probably help you get some of that emotion off of you and onto like a paper. But it's not something you have to directly give to them.
okay.
It's just something you can do for yourself, and then keep it or leave it with me so nobody can find it. But I often find that writing kind of gets some emotion out and helps individuals in some ways. And if you would be up to that.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, that would sound good. And in the meantime, is there any way to get around any kind of these arguments? Like, just how do you approach not getting in an argument, I guess, at home?
A lot of the time it's just swallowing it and dealing.
Okay.
And there have been a few times where there have been some calm conversations. Like, I guess an example would be, I did talk to my sister about not doing laundry at 5 a.m. because my room is right next to the laundry room.
Mm-hmm.
But even that doesn't really seem to work, because the instant response isn't, oh, okay, I'll make sure not to do that. It's, I haven't done that in like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And that completely pulls it off the issue. It's like, doesn't matter if that's specifically what's been waking me up in the past 2 weeks, it's something that I need you not to do.
Yeah.
And it just feels like there's this constant dismissal instead of actually listening.
Okay. So approaching it in any way doesn't really seem to be working. So that does sound really difficult to deal with on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
Does she ever leave the home for a trip or hanging out with friends?
She has doctor's appointments,
Okay.
and she's going to attempt an actual trip pretty soon here.
Okay.
November, it'll be after
Okay.
we're done talking, but I'm pretty sure that's gonna go up in flames. I'm pretty sure she's gonna freak out and either not go or go and then be miserable and then be like constantly calling my parents and God forbid me and like crying and sobbing, making everything way too difficult, and then coming home and being far worse than she is now.
Okay.
So I don't have much faith in my sister right now.
Okay. Well, I can see why. I mean, you've dealt with a lot. Well, maybe just try to keep the peace still. I know that's very difficult in this situation, but continue to try to do whatever you are capable of doing and to whatever point you can get to. And it's not fair to you to be treated any differently by your parents than they treat your sister, but since you are seen as the stronger one, I feel that might continue. But we can continue to talk about ways to help improve this. And the letter, hopefully that will help you. But I'll bring materials for that in our next visit. What days usually work for you?
Well, this time works.
This time?
Yeah.
Okay. So do you want to schedule another visit Tuesday for 3:30?
Sure.
Tuesday for 3:30. And I'll be looking into different ways other than the letter, obviously, to try to improve your lifestyle or livelihood rather.
Mm-hmm.
And if that works for you, then. But is there anything else you would like to speak about today?
I don't know. I mean, it's mostly just about my sister and
Anything?
things are stressful.
Okay. So, and then to relieve some stress, what do you usually do?
Well, I play video games, and recently I've been really trying to find ways to get out of the house and,
Okay.
and give myself breaks.
Okay. And then I guess getting out of the house probably does help a lot. And if you can do that often, like fresh air is always good for people who are in stressful times. So just as much fresh air as you can get. And let me know if you need anything in between now and then. But we will talk on Tuesday if that's okay with you.
Okay.
All right. Nice meeting you today.
Thank you.
Thank you.